On a crisp autumn morning nearly a decade ago, Tom Hanks, renowned for his gentle soul and iconic roles, set out on one of his rare, solitary walks. Leaving behind the hectic schedules of film sets and public appearances, he sought refuge in a sprawling urban park where the early light painted the world in soft hues of gold and amber. The park, a sanctuary for quiet reflection, buzzed with the gentle sounds of rustling leaves and distant laughter, a soothing counterpoint to the relentless pace of his public life. As Tom strolled along winding paths lined with towering trees, he noticed a solitary figure on a weathered bench near a serene pond. The elderly woman sat quietly, her gaze fixed on the rippling water. Dressed in a faded coat and modest attire, she clutched a small, worn bag as if it were her most precious possession. There was an unmistakable air of sorrow about her, a quiet dignity amid hardship that immediately captured Tom's compassionate attention. Something in her gentle expression stirred deep within Tom. Each line on her face, every subtle tremor of her hands, spoke of a lifetime of struggles and unspoken pain. In that silent moment, as the cool morning light filtered through the trees, he sensed that this woman carried a story of loss and resilience. Unable to ignore the unvoiced cry for help, Tom felt compelled to approach her with kindness. "Good morning," Tom said softly, taking a seat beside her on the bench. The woman looked up slowly, a flicker of surprise mingling with caution in her eyes. "I'm Evelyn," she whispered, her voice fragile yet laden with years of quiet endurance. Tom introduced himself with warmth and genuine concern, and soon a gentle conversation began, a dialogue that bridged the gap between two very different lives. Over the course of their conversation, Evelyn revealed that she had wandered into the city months earlier, driven by a desperate hope to start anew after a series of personal tragedies. She spoke of long, cold nights spent on park benches and the isolating silence that accompanied her struggles. Tom listened intently, recalling his own childhood memories of kindness and support. Each word from Evelyn deepened his resolve to help, igniting a determination to restore dignity to a life that had been forgotten. Moved by Evelyn's story, Tom invited her to join him at a nearby cafe called Maple Bean, a cozy haven known for its homemade pastries and inviting atmosphere. Despite the cafe's bustling interior that morning, a compassionate barista quickly arranged a small table by a frost-kissed window. Tom ordered 2 steaming cups of tea, one generously sized for Evelyn and one for himself, aiming to create a small oasis of warmth amidst the chill outside. In the quiet sanctuary of Maple Bean, the ambient clatter of cups and soft background music faded as Evelyn began to recount her life. She spoke of lost family members, financial hardships, and the painful pride that had kept her from asking for help. Tom's heart ached with empathy as he listened, the memories of his own past kindnesses fueling his commitment to make a difference in her life. Determined to offer more than a temporary reprieve, Tom promised Evelyn that he would help her secure a safe place for the night. "You deserve a fresh start," he said softly, his voice firm yet gentle. He made several phone calls right there at the cafe, connecting her with local resources, a shelter, medical assistance, and support services. The sincere look in Evelyn's eyes confirmed that she had longed for this help, and Tom knew he could not let her down. After their heartfelt conversation, Tom hailed a taxi to take Evelyn to a modest shelter known for its compassionate care. The ride was not without its challenges. The taxi driver, noticing Evelyn's worn appearance, muttered unkind remarks under his breath. Tom's calm but assertive tone silenced the negativity as he insisted, "I'm covering the fare. Please, take us to the shelter." Despite the driver's grumbling, they soon arrived at the shelter, a building that radiated a humble, comforting glow. Inside the shelter, Tom helped Evelyn navigate the paperwork with patience and care, ensuring that she felt valued and respected. Thanks to a timely call from a dedicated volunteer, Evelyn was granted a bed for the night, a small blessing that, for her, signified hope and the possibility of a fresh start. That night, as she finally slept in a proper bed for the first time in many months, Tom left with a heart full of hope and a deep sense of purpose. The next morning, Tom returned to the shelter, and to his delight, he found Evelyn already awake and quietly assisting with tidying the common area. Her small acts of gratitude, her gentle smiles toward those around her, reaffirmed his belief in the transformative power of compassion. Inspired by this, Tom began reaching out to his extensive network, connecting Evelyn with local organizations that could offer her stable, long-term support. Over the following weeks, Evelyn started to rebuild her life. With Tom's help, she secured a part-time job at a community center, and her confidence began to blossom. Every referral, every supportive conversation, acted as a seed that slowly grew into a budding future filled with promise. Tom made frequent visits, each time leaving behind more than just money. He left hope, encouragement, and the assurance that someone cared. News of Tom's spontaneous act of kindness soon spread through the local community. Parkgoers, staff at Maple Bean, and even local news outlets began to speak of the gentle, caring celebrity who had taken time out of his busy schedule to help a stranger. The story sparked a quiet revolution. Neighbors started volunteering, local businesses began offering discounts to those in need, and an atmosphere of genuine care began to pervade the community. Evelyn's transformation became a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of one compassionate act. In the weeks that followed, Tom often returned to the park where he had first encountered Evelyn. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows and bathing the park in a warm, golden glow, he sat on that familiar bench and reflected on the impact of his actions. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Evelyn's grateful smile and felt the weight of the responsibility that came with kindness. It was in these quiet moments that Tom reaffirmed his belief that true heroism lies in the smallest acts of compassion. As months turned into a year, Evelyn not only regained her stability but began to thrive. With newfound confidence, she joined support groups, attended community events, and even started mentoring other seniors facing similar hardships. Tom's influence continued to inspire her, and their unlikely bond deepened into a lasting friendship built on mutual respect and shared hope. Over time, Evelyn's story evolved into a quiet legend within the community. Local events celebrated acts of kindness, and the tale of Tom's intervention became a rallying cry for compassion. It wasn't just about one day in the park, it was about the enduring power of empathy to transform lives. Tom, in turn, found that his own spirit was lifted by the knowledge that a single gesture had the potential to ripple outward, touching countless lives in ways he had never imagined. At a charity event organized by a local nonprofit, Tom was invited to speak about the importance of compassion. Standing before an attentive audience, he recounted his encounter with Evelyn, not for praise, but to remind everyone that true change starts with a single, caring action. The audience, moved by his sincerity and the tangible impact of that day, erupted in applause. Evelyn, now a respected member of the community, was present in the crowd, her eyes shining with quiet pride. In the wake of that public testament, the community rallied together like never before. New initiatives were launched to support vulnerable individuals, volunteer groups multiplied, and local businesses dedicated resources to helping those in need. The park, once just a backdrop to daily routines, transformed into a symbol of unity and hope, a place where every person could find solace and support. Years later, as Tom continued his celebrated career, the memory of that autumn day remained a constant source of inspiration. He often received messages from people whose lives had been touched by his act of kindness, stories of healing, of new beginnings, and of communities coming together. Each message reinforced his belief that compassion was not a fleeting moment but an enduring force that could change the world. Evelyn's life, once marked by isolation and despair, blossomed into one of resilience and renewal. Her journey from the cold, indifferent streets to a life filled with dignity became a beacon for others. Tom's simple act had ignited a movement, one that celebrated humanity and the transformative power of kindness. Their story, passed down through community gatherings and shared on social media, became a timeless reminder that every life matters. As the community flourished, older residents would often recall that fateful day with awe and gratitude. Parents told their children stories of the kind man who had taken the time to help a stranger in need, teaching them that true greatness lies not in wealth or fame, but in the heart. These stories grew into legends, each retelling adding layers of hope and inspiration for future generations. Inspired by the legacy of that encounter, several young volunteers and community leaders began to take on mentorship roles. They visited the park, organized neighborhood events, and reached out to those who were struggling. Tom, often seen at these events, served as a living example of the power of compassion. His continued involvement bolstered the community's spirit, and his actions set a standard for how one should treat the vulnerable. The movement sparked by Tom's act of kindness gradually expanded beyond the local neighborhood. Charitable foundations and national organizations began to recognize the impact of grassroots compassion, and soon, programs inspired by that day were implemented in cities across the country. Tom's story was featured in various media outlets, not for sensationalism, but as a powerful example of how individual acts of empathy can lead to systemic change. Of course, not every day was filled with triumph. There were moments of struggle, bureaucratic red tape, lingering prejudice, and personal setbacks that tested the community's resolve. Yet, through each challenge, the seeds of compassion that had been sown continued to grow. Evelyn, now actively involved in community support programs, faced obstacles with the quiet strength of someone who had been reborn through kindness. Each small victory, from securing steady employment to receiving heartfelt thank you notes from neighbors, added to the enduring legacy of that autumn encounter. For Tom, the experience was transformative on a deeply personal level. Amidst the glitz and glamour of his public life, he rediscovered the simple truth that real happiness is found in the connections we make with others. His quiet walks in the park became moments of introspection, where he would reflect on the lives he had touched and the changes he had witnessed. In these reflective moments, Tom realized that his greatest role was not on the big screen but in the small acts of kindness that defined his legacy. Over the years, Tom and Evelyn's friendship grew stronger. Though their interactions were often quiet and unassuming, the bond they shared was unbreakable, a testament to the power of empathy and mutual respect. They would sometimes meet on that very bench, reminiscing about the past and marveling at the changes that had unfolded since the chilly autumn morning. Their silent exchanges spoke volumes, a language of gratitude, healing, and enduring hope. Inspired by his encounter with Evelyn, Tom began to champion various charitable causes, using his influence to support local shelters and community programs. His actions, widely recognized yet never boastful, ignited a flame of generosity that spread throughout the community and beyond. Each public appearance became an opportunity to highlight the importance of compassion, and his legacy of kindness inspired countless others to step forward and make a difference. Tom's journey soon transcended the boundaries of his local community. In interviews, at charity events, and through heartfelt social media messages, he shared the story of that transformative day. His message was simple yet powerful: no act of kindness is too small. When we reach out to help one another, we create ripples that can change the world. The story resonated with millions, encouraging people from all walks of life to embrace empathy and to value every life, regardless of circumstances. As the years passed, the impact of Tom's initial act of kindness multiplied. Local initiatives, inspired by his example, began to flourish. Community centers offered new programs for the elderly, youth mentoring became a focal point for local organizations, and a sense of unity and care spread throughout the neighborhood. Tom's influence was felt not just as a celebrity, but as a genuine human being who believed that every life deserved dignity and respect. Evelyn, whose life had been forever changed by Tom's intervention, emerged as a quiet beacon of hope in the community. She dedicated herself to volunteering and to mentoring other seniors, sharing her story and inspiring those who felt forgotten. Her transformation, from a solitary figure on a park bench to a respected and active member of society, was a living testament to the power of compassion and the enduring impact of a single act of kindness. The anniversary of that fateful encounter became a local celebration, a day when the community gathered to honor the spirit of kindness that had transformed their lives. Stories were shared, memories were cherished, and new initiatives were launched in honor of Tom's gentle intervention. The celebration was not just about looking back, but about building a future where empathy and support were the cornerstones of society. In the quiet moments of reflection that marked the closing years of his life, Tom often revisited the memory of that autumn day. He recognized that while fame and fortune might fade, the impact of genuine compassion endures. His heart, filled with the recollections of countless lives touched by kindness, beat with a steady rhythm of hope, a hope that would continue to inspire generations long after the echoes of that day had faded. Tom's story, shared in hushed tones in community halls, in heartfelt interviews, and through the silent gestures of everyday people, grew into an unseen ripple that extended far beyond the park. It became a legend, a reminder that every kind act, no matter how small, has the power to spark change in a world often marred by indifference. The legacy of that single encounter was woven into the fabric of the community, a testament to the idea that love and empathy are the true measures of a meaningful life. In the twilight of his years, as Tom reflected on a life dedicated to art and kindness, he understood that his greatest legacy was not found in awards or accolades, but in the countless lives he had touched with his compassion. The memory of Evelyn and the profound impact of that autumn day lived on as a gentle light and everlasting beacon in a world that sometimes forgot to care. Tom's journey, marked by quiet heroism and unwavering empathy, serves as a timeless reminder that every act of kindness creates ripples of hope and that the human heart, when nurtured by compassion, can illuminate even the darkest corners of our world.